Okay, let's see here. I've kinda run out of anime I want to talk about this season, but surely I've missed something. Ah, a Yoasobi opening. Well, they have a pretty good track record, so can't hurt to give it a shot.
Maybe life on this big green marble isn't so bad after all.
Okay, not to exaggerate, but this is probably my shoe-in for anime of the season, which is by no means unimpressive. This season is packing some heat, a lot of which I've covered. As much as I enjoy the laid-back comfort of Mono, the frequent insanity of Takamine-san, and the humanity that drives Vigilantes, none of these shows have had me smiling, laughing, and most important of all, having as much fun as Witch Watch. The anime opens with Morihito Otogi, our main character, being harassed by a group of hooligans, one of them actually hailing from the UK. He lets them get a few hits in because his demon ass would throw them in the hospital if he hit back, and his dad calls him a cringe loser. We're off to a great start. He's told that his childhood friend Nico, who left to study at Japanese Hogwarts, is coming to live with them, and she wants to make him her familiar because... His father admits that he would love to become a manservant to an adorable young witch, but the plot requires no adult supervision, so it's overseas business trip for him. TLDR, she's moving in. Effective now. And let the zany hijinks commence. Well, wasn't that a barrel of laughs? But now, it's time for their high school debut, and Morihito is very serious when he tells Nico that she needs to keep her magic under wraps at school, which likely stems from him having grown up unable to build and foster human connections with other kids his age, because they saw him and his magical attributes as not normal. And the last thing he wants is for her to be forced down that lonely road.
Wakatsuki Nico.
Yeah, man. Of course they're all pumped to have a witch in their class. She would be the coolest student on campus by lunchtime. You know those first day get to know each other activities that teachers often make the class do to break the ice? Yeah, how about we all go outside and fly instead? Wow, I'm really bummed that I got a witch in my class. This sucks. No, I wish I was in one of the classes looking at us flying from inside their classroom. Sounds like a bit of me, actually. By the end of the second episode, much like Class 1-3, I felt like a bond had formed between me and this anime. Look, I'm not a difficult guy to get a laugh out of while watching something, but very few anime have had me giggling to myself kicking my feet in the air as much as this one has. And as I mentioned in a previous video about this anime, when a show is labeled a rom-com and is actually funny, you earn a lot of points with me. The rom isn't forgotten either though. Of the two, Nico is definitely the pursuer in this relationship, with Morihito being very focused on his role of protecting Nico from whatever misfortune might await her. But that of course just makes the moments when he does suggest how much he cares for her really endearing. They aren't the only characters to love though. Kanshi, an old friend of Nico, moves in with them and befriends all of their neighbors while immediately clocking Nico's feelings for Morihito and starts trying to help his friend out, which leads to more hilarious moments, which leads to Keigo, who is a genre of guy I feel like everyone has met at least one of in their life. What kind of music do I like? Well, I listen to a lot of underground stuff. You probably wouldn't know them. I'm just really into subculture, you know, the lesser knowns. You ever heard of Tame Impala? He's not insufferable, I promise. Before I move on from specific story moments, I just have to say that the second half of episode 8 is the hardest I've laughed at an episode of anything in recent memory. Without spoiling, you and the rest of the cast are just made to watch Kanshi suffer being stuck in a time spell for 30 miserable, lonely days, and it's fucking brilliant. For those of you who saw my video on Apothecary Diaries, which admittedly is maybe about 7 of you if I'm being charitable to myself, you will know how much I value episodic storytelling when it's done well. Witch Watch seamlessly moves through new adventures every week while still feeling like the plot and characters are moving forward, all while hitting comedic and emotional beats right when they'll land the hardest. The artists behind this production convey such immense passion for what they're working on. It is felt through every expression, every flourish of magic, and every line delivery. Before we wrap up, it would be remiss of me not to mention what I think is one of the greatest contributions to one of my favorite forms of artistic expression in visual media. I have been consulting the sages in my mind palace to see if I can conjure an OP from years past that is not only a fantastic piece of art in its own right, but also such an effective reflection of the show it's tied to, all while being packed to the brim with its own sense of style. It truly boggles my mind and fills me with joy that art like this is even possible. And just as a little cherry on top, episode 3 features a glimpse into the early stages of its creation, just to give you a fraction of an idea of the immense talent that goes into making such an A1 piece of art. Animation really is just the coolest thing ever, man. I feel I shouldn't need to say much more. If lower stakes stories with more contained episodic narratives aren't your thing, while I do feel like you're missing out, it's not like I can force you into watching it. I've done all I can here to hopefully introduce more people to this absolute joy of an anime. Interaction is greatly appreciated, blah blah blah, YouTube spiel, blah blah blah. Apologies for not uploading last week, a lot went on, but what's important is we're back on track now. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I hope to see you again.